on a legend, a big time guy in this business. So, Mr. Jimmy Peak is walking up to the stage right here. Oh my goodness! Look at this guy. He's fresh. You fresh to death.
Look at him.
How you doing, Mr. Jimmy?
I'm doing fantastic. Yourself?
Oh, I'm doing
Oh,
excellent. Long week.
Yeah.
Long week. And it's still going.
Still going.
And it's still going.
Yeah. It's been, what? I saw you 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago. I can't even keep track anymore. I was just telling Paulie on the way up, I haven't seen you guys. He said you guys are 2 hours on, 1 hour off. And I'm like, I haven't seen any of your 1 hour offs yet. But I've also been.
Yeah, it hasn't.
Dude,
it
I've been
hasn't stopped.
spinning. They had me out there, I'm trying to help with, OBC and participating, and they wanted Robert and myself and Art to, handle some judging with the bikes out there, and man,
That's a tough job.
it's tough, man. It's like, because a lot of the people who are doing the builds, and you can't segregate based on who you know or who did the work, and you just got to look at it an outside perspective. To me, 3 guys is really good because between us 3, there was. I'm not saying any of it. Art had a good point. It's not butting heads. It's just coming to an agreement, So what's interesting is of half the categories, us 3, so Robert and I were walking the ground together, and we were kind of talking back and forth. Art went on his own, and then we met up with him after the fact. We went through the list and respected every number and everything that was chosen. And what's interesting is, without us even knowing, half of them, we all 3 hit the same number,
Really?
the same pick. So that makes things a lot easier than having to go through the whole thing again and reevaluate.
Yeah.
So we went through the other half, and like I said, it's not an easy job. It's
Judging
there's
is not an easy
there's
job.
so much great work. Like for me, I wish everybody can go home with a award. To be
Yeah,
honest.
it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
The judging
And
is not
so,
an easy job.
I think hats off to everybody who brought everything out, and it's just there can only be one.
There can
Like
only be
right
one.
now, with the way that OBC awards are, there is no first, second, third. It's all or nothing. And that said, that they've spread it out really well with everything from mild to extreme to full to radical. So or ladies, it goes on and on. Motor assist, electrical, and
When you come up to judge these things, what is it that you kind of look for?
so for me, I look at 2 things. Obviously, a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into cosmetics. Okay, so chrome plating, the painting, all that work said and done is that's already going to be one thing you're going to look at throughout everybody. But for me, a few things that I pointed out on a few of these bikes is I like to look at ingenuity, and I'm not a guy who builds that much on ingenuity. When I say that, people who come up with like just mechanical type things with swing arms and was with obviously electrical assist is so popular, and coming up with different ways to do it,
Yes.
and coming up with different ways to run their chain line or different ways to run suspension. What's interesting is I look at that as a big part of judging for me, and I don't even do it. A big part of why I don't do it is because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Not to say I don't like doing a lot of work, but there are a lot of guys out there who can do that with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I can't spend that much time on that, but they're a natural adage, so I respect that. So that's why when I look to go to judge, cosmetics is a given. Everybody's going to look at the bike and like, that's badass right there. Ingenuity, that's where you got to start paying attention to
Yes.
the details of what makes that bike mechanically work. And that, to me, when you see something different, I'm like, wow, that may weigh in heavily based on the fact that there may not even be cosmetics on that bike. Period. It might be a raw bike, but I like it.
Yeah. But and that's it. I was able to be one of a judge at another show. It is hard, But when you look at, like, for example, you start looking at them. Do they have all chrome? Yeah. Okay. Paint, good. Leather work, all right, good. And then you
Right.
start getting to a point that it's like, all right, now I have to really weed them out to see who falls in those categories. You know,
Right.
nuts and bolts, spokes, whatever the case may be. There's always things that either gives you up or down.
Right.
So at the end of the day, somebody's gonna win. At the
Well,
end
for
of it,
sure,
it is
yeah.
So it is very hard to.
It
to
is.
pick.
It's very difficult. I mean, I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't know I was judging today.
We never know.
Yeah,
who's
you know,
judging.
it's like they're looking for people or candidates of people who work in the industry, and I get it. And I've been doing my best to try and enjoy these events more than working.
Yeah.
I've been working a lot, and I'm not saying everybody does it, but I've been like just hitting it hard for a good solid, and show-wise, like 6 years, like vending and fabricating to bring stuff out for sale. What I did differently this year is, if you go to my booth, I have 3 sets of handlebars of 1.25 inch, big fat bars that drop down to 7/8 of my design. So what it is, a lot of people have been talking about these bikes are getting bigger and bigger. They're so huge, you know, and your 7/8 handlebars just look a little small. So I was thinking to myself, you know, it's nothing new, but the biggest challenge in making fat bars is the transition to drop back down to 7/8 to work with your existing grips and stem. People don't want to go out and buy motorcycle grips and whatever it might, motorcycle risers, to even make a 1-inch diameter bar work. So I've been working on something where I did the YouTube. I think you guys seen the video of me fabricating these. I brought 3 different bars. I'm gonna start offering them. Then yes, they're pricey compared to a standard hard handlebar, but you know, it is what it is. The material, the work, the labor hours put in. If you want some big fat 1.25 inch bars to roll with your 1.5 inch frame, you know, there you go. The other thing is I brought a new Springer fork that I've been working on.
Oh, really?
So it's the first I've dipped into Springer forks, just trying to give people options. At the same time, I'm trying to offer things new. I don't know if I talked about the fact that I'm going to start laying off my production frames. The T2, the Tail Dragger, the Rockstar. Not that I don't love doing them, but I would like to focus more on one-offs and the new Springer fork and handlebar. So what I did this time, stop me from rambling, is I brought those things to share with people so they can touchy-feely and see it in the flesh. And then I will start offering them, which I've already sold like 3.25 inch bars. I haven't sold any Springer forks yet. I'm hoping to have those available within the next month. Here we are in April and May. I'm gonna hoping to have them available in June. And this was just kind of a prototype thing, but I'm super happy with the results so far. And going forward, we'll do Springer forks, 1.25 inch bars. I also always do my normal handlebars. And then frames is where I'm like really laying back. And not that I'm not going to lay back on doing them. I'm just going to focus more on their concept or one-off of something that they want.
Well, that's good.
You know,
That's
so
really
it's like, hey, I got this vision, and I think I've been pretty good with executing. Even if you can't draw, I'm just like, get a piece of paper and just like at least give me something. And then I've been pretty good with being able to take that. And then you got other guys who just got like a blueprint for you know. So I want to do more of that. Brings that creativity and changing things up. And the production frames, I'm not saying I won't continue them, but right now I'm going to take a break. I've actually stopped taking frame orders back in October.
So your tail draggers, the Rockstar.
And the T2,
and the
yeah.
T2, those are production frames.
When I
from
say
DBP.
that, yeah, I've got, I mean, it's like double digit, like, it's like over 100 frames combined.
Those
it's
are
just-
production bikes. So that.
So when I
'cause
say
we wanna-
production-
we want to make sure the difference between a production and like a full custom or like a one-off.
Well, you'll be able to, I mean, to me, it's like you can just look at my frames. Most people know what the Tail Dragger and T2 look like. Basically, the only difference between those two frames, it's the same frame design. It's just the head tube is dropped. So the
Gotcha.
whole stance is lower. The Tail Dragger, which would be the T1, is more the chopper. It has a long fork on it. The Rockstar, same front end, but it has stays that go straight back. That's pretty much it. But yes, I've done so many, like, I mean, I've done a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I do fabricate them to order, so it's like if Danny ordered one, it wouldn't be the same as what you order based on just your height and your inseam. Every frame is built on your geometries. So yes, they're production frames, but they're not like a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
That said, I when someone does another order, I'm so fortunate and blessed that people want to continue to order frames from me. But it's just like anything else. It becomes just a repetitive, like I've done this 1,000 times already.
Yeah.
So I need to change things up.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. It's like people think it's crazy that I turn down orders, but I'm hoping that the move I'm gonna make will just be better, not just for me, but for everyone else.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
something
yeah.
to change it up, something new.
You have to do what's best for you. You know, you have to. You've been growing with it. You started where usually a lot of these guys start, and you're on that level now where you kind of know what you want.
Right.
And a lot of these guys have to go through that. That's why it's been exciting. We had two new guys from Yuma that are kind of new to the bike scene, but they're already kind of bringing the nice fab work like this one right here. You got John King.
John King.
Yes.
That-
Yeah,
guys
no,
are-
I actually ran into him. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying these guys are like the second generation that you guys have motivated. That these guys are bringing some hard stuff, and they're hungry for that. So the stuff that you know how you're saying that those guys are going to be picking up that kind of stuff now, which is good to have that now, so we can keep growing.
Right.
So you can continue to do Jimmy Peak,
Right.
and that way these guys can grow too. Go through that process
Right.
of dealing what it's like to have orders,
Right.
to fulfilling all that stuff, because you have to learn and grow with it, as you know.
Yeah,
And you have
yeah.
gotten to that level now that you know what works for you and what you're gonna try to stay away from, because that doesn't work for Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? So
You know.
you have to do that.
I-
you have to.
Yeah, and I appreciate that
Yeah.
very much. What's interesting, you bring up John. I met him for the first time in person at the Yuma show.
Yeah, Yuma show. See,
And-
you must be. We be popping up in Yuma because you must be popping.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like, you know, you get to talking to people who are doing fabrication stuff, and I found out, I didn't know this, but I mean, you kind of know, and I talked about this even on my podcast, that I don't know who's watching. People don't really, respond to it much. I see the likes, I see the views. If anything, the views don't lie. I mean, the views are what they are. But when I talk to an individual and people come up to me, several people came up to me in Yuma saying how much they enjoy my videos. And when I say I'm surprised, I'm just like, well, I didn't even know you were watching, So I'm talking to John. John's watched everything I done, and I'm just so, I feel very blessed that people find it useful, which is all I'm trying to put out there. So John and I got on all kinds of conversation, and I told him when I left Yuma, I was just like, hey man, you need anything at all, just reach out. It's like, I'd like to think that when I share these videos that I'm not hiding anything. Well, what's interesting is we all build, and I know we're building, whether it's for competition or to be a better business or to be on top of the business. But at the same time, to educate is only going to make things in the scene of the whole deal just even 10 times better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I know. I've said this on my YouTube videos. I'm like, I don't consider myself a know-it-all by any means. All I'm doing is sharing with you what I've learned and experienced on my own. That's it. You can take it or leave it. I'm not saying what I do is the end all be all, whatever. I'm just saying I've had a lot of non-killer days.
Not
Not a non-killer day.
day.
And when I say that, it's like, I've had Kelly know she's hearing the F-bomb going out in the shop, and I've had my days of throwing stuff. I'm a lot better now. I used to be really bad. But there's some battle damage in the shop of me not having such good days. And you talk to a lot of fabricators, dude. It's nothing new. Robert, Kevin, we all go through that. All of us. I've been better only because I've been doing it now a little bit longer, to where I know how to deal with my temper. I know I seem like a super cool, calm guy, and I like to think I am. But I have a side of me where, like anyone else, where if things like, you spend an entire day on something like this kind of work, and you just got to basically just throw it out the window and start again. That's a tough day.
It is a tough
like I
day.
come in the house and Kelly's just like, and I'm like, she's so nice. It's like I'm not an a-hole or anything. She just knows, okay, well, this is one of those moments, and it's like she just gives me my space. And anymore, I've been learning to just turn it off when I come in. But point of all this is that with the YouTube videos, I'm trying to make less non-killer days for all the guys who are trying to learn. That's all.
That's like, yeah.
But these guys gotta know that you are gonna have those days.
Yeah, oh,
So
you're
that's
good.
why it is
Yeah.
good that you do talk
My
about
bloopers
it.
alone is
Yeah.
proof of that.
Because
I love.
I'm just saying.
nobody's perfect, man. Everything takes work, practice, experimenting, trying, failing. That's
Yeah.
the only way you're gonna get there to that
Yeah,
level.
exactly.
Because
yeah.
sometimes it might look cool in your head, and you actually try. You're like, oh, maybe it wasn't that cool, or maybe it is cool, but it's not functional. So then that's where you got to get creative again. Be like, okay, so what can I do to maybe not destroy it, but maybe change it up,
Yeah.
save it, or whatever you want to do. You got to get creative.
Exactly.
And by doing it, it's the only way you're
Oh, yeah.
gonna learn.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I'm sure that when these guys build their frames, and like John and James, when they're building their frames, and I'm almost 100% sure that when you get to see their frames and you give them their feedback and like you give them the thumbs up, like that goes a long way for
It
the
does.
momentum for somebody.
It really
because
does.
you've been doing this for quite some time, and and you can't deny and take away the accomplishments that you have gone through in this game, because you have gone through a lot of stuff. You have been noticed in a lot of, you've won a lot of awards. You've done a lot in this industry. So it is good. It is good to say, you know what, thank you, and accept it, because you are a very humble guy. We're very humble also, but when we know we work really hard on something and you accept it, it's like, like you get to breathe.
Right.
You gotta enjoy it, because Danny and I, we talk about it all the time. People see us now and they're like, oh man, you're Tony. He's like, you're on the internet and blah blah blah. I go, but I can't see myself what they're saying to me.
Right.
But when I see it in the whole picture
Right.
together,
Right.
in the whole picture,
Right.
I can accept that.
Exactly.
In the whole picture, I can't accept that as like myself as an individual,
Right.
but I accept it all
Right.
in one big
Exactly,
1904 in one big except to say thank you
Right.
very much. Yeah, I'll take that credit. So
Yeah.
for you, I would love for you to take that credit, because you deserve that 100%. And I know that these guys, when they build their bikes, they're gonna your guys' comments are gonna go a long way for them.
Well, I appreciate that.
No,
I super
tremendous.
appreciate that. Like I said,
Tremendously, man.
I'm just doing what I do. I'm out here. I tell everybody all the time, man. I'm just another guy out here building bikes.
Yep, that's
and
what we
trying
all
to
say.
enjoy life, you know. I read a thing. I think it was yesterday. I may have this quote wrong, but it says something like, it's interesting you talk about this. It's like mistakes are not, probably going to get this wrong, but mistakes are not a choice. You have to make mistakes in order to make yourself better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
It was something like that, but I'm just saying, it's like, you know, we all, you got it. You have to screw up to learn.
In order to succeed, you
And
gotta
so-
fail.
And the only way to make it right is to do it wrong first.
Yep.
You know, nobody is going to do anything
Not
the right
that
time.
one, and-
You know, the first time right. You know,
It's
And
gonna
so,
be. It's gonna be a. Yeah, you got to keep on going, because if you
Right.
don't keep on going, you're not gonna know
Right,
what
right.
what you're capable of doing. You know,
Right.
it takes somebody to build something. Hey, you can build it. I can try to build it. I can try to build it. So it is good.
How you guys doing out here?
Oh man, we're having a great time. We're accepting and enjoying everything that comes our way.
Yeah, that's good.
You know,
man.
and
Yeah.
that's all we can do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the show is beautiful. I mean, there's so many beautiful bikes out
It's
here.
incredible.
Is there like particular bikes that you kind of like, wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Cool things that you have.
Oh, well, you see the effort and the heart put into every one. You know what I mean? Like everybody who throws their bike out in there and puts a number on it, they all strongly believe that they're going to take home the prize. You know, and that alone is just how much you can see the feeling of every detail that people put into their builds.
Yeah.
You know. And so, like I said, I respect that. I wish everybody can go, but there can only be one, and that's what makes it. That's what makes it
hard.
really, really tough, man. But having three, like I said, really helps. And I think Art and Robert, those two are great guys. We walked around and we got bothered a few times where people were like trying to I don't know if they were trying to freaking see what was going on with the pics or
What,
even.
what do you feel when you see your bike transform? You give it to them naked, and they transform it.
The first time?
The
Like
first time, when you
time?
see any of your
That's-
bikes for the first
That's
time.
what's interesting is that's the beautiful thing. It's like I have a vision. I've never drawn any of my frame designs or builds. I've
Uh-huh.
never put it on paper. I'm the guy who can't sleep at night because I'm thinking about what that frame looks like in my head. Okay, so even with the frame that I donated to OBC, I don't know if you saw the raffle frame up there. I've never done anything like it, really. It's all compound bands. It's totally different than what I normally do. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to donate a frame, I need to get out of my comfort zone and do something a little different, something a little more challenging. And for me, in my opinion, I think it came out. I love what the results were. Back to your question of what your thoughts are when you first see something like come to life or the first formations of it, because I'm doing all of this on just in my head. The first time you guys see my video, like the first time I even did the hot rod up on the bike stand and I put the wheels on with the tank plates and the paint job, and I was just like, oh man, I'm just gonna go to bed now. We'll just call it. It's just like I can just sit here and just, I make jokes about it. I'm like, I can sit here and what's interesting is like the most beautiful part about creating these is to see it come to life. When it comes out even better than you had in your head, then you're just like, oh man, this is like, it's like, and it's really difficult because you have a concept in your head. And sometimes it may not just be exactly what you thought it was. Yeah. And like, and I've had those too. I've had those where I'm just like, I'm not feeling that. And so I have a few frames, not many, but there's a few that are like kind of half done, and I just kind of just put on the back burner because I'm just like, this isn't working. So
that's it's insane how what you put out, man, and then the cleanness of what you put out with all these bikes, and then when you see them for the first time, I know that's a great feeling. It's like, wow, I didn't even think that you would do something like that. There's no way. Some of these bikes, when I see them on your frames, or I'll see it on Robert frames, or I see a steel frame, whatever frame, it's like, I know they don't see it this way. It do see it's like,
yeah,
it's a great feeling.
Yeah, and you know what I love too? It's like even me being, like I said, Art and I and Robert and all the guys who Kevin Hewitt. What's really, really interesting, and this is what I love, it's like for me, it's like I'm not out there to monopolize peak cycles. It's like everyone's style is different. That said, the fabricators, none of us, you can tell a Hewitt frame from an HB frame from a Peak frame, and it goes on Art frame, it goes on and on and on. I've had conversations with Art this week, and I'm like, dude, what you're doing? I'm like, I want to do that. I am tired looking at your frames. That's how much work is put into them. So that said, the audience, anybody picks to fabricate their frame, I'm not sitting here going, well, shit, Robert's selling like 10 frames this past week, man. I ain't sold none. I'm like, well, that's what they like. Not to mention, Robert does circles around me too. I'm starting to think I'm slow. These guys are like, these guys are like machines, and it's like I work hard, but it's like I don't know how they do it. But Robert came from, pipe weld, like full on, like just industrial style. Like this is like
he was born.
He does it. Yeah, this is like he does this in his sleep,
Well, he said
Art, he's a whole different gig. Like Art, he's like,
old school.
Old school military style. Again, he worked hard, like blue collar style. And when you see his efforts and his energy he puts into his work, like I said, he's like, he puts up a picture. He's got like a dozen freaking. I'm like, damn, man, I'm just trying to get this in another fork and handlebar done, but. Everybody has their different ways. Again, King Zeba, Danny, it goes on and on. What I love is all our styles you can tell everybody's frame style from the others. So there's no reason to want to be the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we're all in this for the same reason, and everybody chooses their frame based on their style, period. Yeah. So as long as we're all staying busy and we all got our business, then everything's good. I envy and I appreciate everything that everybody does as far as all the other fabricators. I talk to them all the time. I'm like you guys are doing killer work. I had some great conversations. Art's always a great person to talk to. No, I've had some great, like I said, he's a great guy, and Robert too. What's funny is us three were judging. You want to talk about freaking Clash of the Titans. It was like
right there,
it's like it's so, not that it was in a bad way. I'm just saying our personalities. I'm in the middle of Robert and Art, and I'm just like, man, this is a TV show in itself.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like if you guys could sit in that, if what I was sitting in, and listen to Robert and Art, and then me talking in between, that was like entertainment in itself. Like I was just like, this is great.
Wow.
You know?
That would be a cool show. Like
It would be so good.
But think about it, like America's Got Talent. Like you three are
You-
judges, and then you guys, you know,
You guys
bringing new
haven't
stuff
done
up.
a sit down with, like, say, 3 or more fabricators.
No,
have
that
you?
would be a great episode.
It would.
That would be a fantastic
You know what I mean?
episode. So-
Like it would.
yeah, it would be a
Like,
fantastic.
and when I say 3 or more, like, find however many you can in one spot and just
oh, this guy. Oh, that's gonna happen.
it would be fun.
That's gonna
Because, like
happen.
I
That's
said,
gonna be
we
great.
all love each other.
That's
We all
gonna
have
be great.
respect
Y'all
for
heard
each
it. We're
other,
gonna say that.
and
It's gonna
it
be a
would
great
be
one.
really fun. Just because, like I said, what I went through today with the judging. These are some of my favorite times of a bike show in general. It's just the fact that I can talk to you about what us 3 were. It was comical. I was just like, this is freaking hilarious, but
Yeah.
it's great. You know, it's like we're on a serious note here. We're judging bikes.
Yeah.
But us 3 in a circle was just like, it was
Oh,
just,
that's gonna be great.
it was really good.
It was
I'm
really
telling you,
good.
I don't need to talk about anything. Like I said, not in a bad way. Everything was great. But it's just, like, I was like, man, this is real life happening right here.
But Jimmy, man, I greatly appreciate your friendship. I
was-
greatly
appreciate you
appreciate the
guys.
conversations that we've all had with you, and being part of the team Paddles Up podcast.
Yeah.
You are a good guy with us and sponsored. We greatly appreciate you, and thank you. Just
Yeah, man,
thank you
you
for
know, I
that.
thank you guys. Like I said, I love the show. You know I love the show. And I know you guys work hard. I see everything that's put into it, man. It's like, it's no easy task. And you guys did, it's been said several times that you guys signed up for it. And it's
We
a
signed
tough
up for
gig.
it, and we're going for it. That's
Yeah,
what
it's
we're
a
doing.
tough gig. Well, like I said, when you say sign up for it, it's even with me with the YouTube, at least I can pick what week I
Yeah.
want it. You guys are like, you got it every Thursday. It's like, whether or not you feel good, whether or not you're sick, whether or not you're into it, you got to put that
You got to put it
face on, and you're,
And we
and
gotta
buckle
keep
down
doing it.
and get it done.
Yeah.
But look, there's a sense of appreciation for even for yourself when you go to bed at night to know that you accomplished something.
Yeah.
You touched somebody.
Somebody.
That's what I'm saying. That to
Somebody.
me is what makes me sleep better at night, is knowing that I can't go a day without, even if it was just something around the house, like where I feel like I accomplished something that day. Not one day. Well, okay, maybe once in a
Maybe
while
with that-
I'll have a couch potato day, but that ain't
Well-
often,
well,
But
we got to cut this short, my man.
yep.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jimmy.
Thank you.
We got to go
Thank
do our
you,
thing
Danny.
over there.
Appreciate you
Hey,
guys having
Jimmy
me
P,
on.
Pete Cycles.
Oh, yeah.
That motherfucker's badass. Hey, like I always say at the end of the show, if you ain't got a bike, get a bike. Stop being lazy in your goddamn life. But the way Jimmy says it, make it a killer day.
Yep. Ready?
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed today's version of What's Happening at Pedals Up Podcast. And until next time, make it a killer day.
Yes. Yeah, that was dope. That was dope.
Cool.
All right, guys, we're gonna cut it out now. I think we're gonna rest, but we're gonna do. I guess they're gonna show the awards. So let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we out.
All right.